Green, Jake Granito, Doug Murphy, George Bennington. Okay.
Jessica Segales.
Tim Plumbo, Keith Ritchie.
Sue Leoni.
Thank you. Okay. And then our next order of business is to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to, is there a second? Doug, thank you. All those in favors?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Anybody opposed? So carries. Thank you. The next one is the proposal for the community garden at Kiwanis Park. Lisa, you did an excellent job of presenting at our last meeting. I want to compliment Lisa on the great job she did in socializing this new venture, both with the Y as well as with the Exchange Club. And we don't see an issue. I want to be clear, what we're approving tonight is the use of the land as well as the concept. You obviously, as you know, have other regulatory hurdles you got to jump over as well. But does anybody have any questions or comments before we have a vote?
I'll just say, I was out there with you and Lisa, and to me, it just seemed like a perfect location. You know, it's level, it's not going to use for anything that I see, other than people who might walk their dogs just through there by happenstance. So I think this is a great thing for the town.
Thank you. Absolutely.
I said one question for you, is if someone wins the lottery, okay, they're, and is able to, you know, have a plot there, and then just completely disregards it, never shows up, never does anything, what happens then?
Sure, so that's a good question. So one of the things there's a formalized structure to the community garden, and so there are rules and regulations around that. Typically, there's a 3 strikes you're out type of rule. There are people that volunteer to kind of walk around periodically and just make sure that everything looks tidy. And if it doesn't, that would either happen on like every 2 weeks, every month cadence. They would get a warning notice, and then after typically 3 warnings, then they would lose their spot. They would say, okay, you can't have it anymore, but there's a lot of leeway given to that warning. Typically people, it's usually, I'll give you an example when I used to travel a lot, if they're traveling a lot and they've just kind of forgotten it. But if it is something where they just realize that it's not for them and they're neglecting it, that then we would turn that over and have someone next on the wait list take it over. And that would probably happen within 6 weeks. I mean, it wouldn't be a long time for it to look pretty bad.
Thank you.
Great.
Good question.
Thank you. Good question. Any other questions or comments, or Margaret?
Yes, hi, how are you? Good evening, everyone. Margaret Riley from the New Canaan Y. And I'm here this evening really just to express our support for this project. And I've spoken with Lisa and also with John and looked at our contract for Kiwanis Park. And as you all know, we have 2 additional summers that we're going to hold our Camp Waikai there under our current agreement.
Right.
There is a space designated for parking on that contract. There's a map on the back of it. And I believe it would interfere with a garden, but we are absolutely willing to park wherever the town tells us you can accommodate us. So if that's agreeable to the town, we too would agree to change that provision and just have our parking happen wherever it works best. So we use parking for 2 purposes. One is for our staff. And then, of course, when parents drop off their children and pick up their children, they park their cars, they walk over to a check-in desk. Sometimes they have to show an ID if they're not familiar, and then they go back to their cars to leave. So it may well be that when all of this comes to fruition, that we have more than enough room to still accommodate all of that. But if not, I'm very confident that we can all work together to set up some sort of traffic flow or situation so that it can all work for everyone. Additionally, I've expressed to Lisa, if our campers can help out with the garden, I would love to make that
Great.
Camp Waikai. So
Sure.
I think it can
Great
be a
idea.
really nice partnership that can help.
Yep.
And we like to do some charitable work as part of the LIT program and the CIT program. So this can be a nice additional opportunity right there on site.
Terrific. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. Terrific. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, then we'll move to somebody motion or
Move to approve.
move. Thank you. Is there a second?
Sure.
Okay, Tim, thank you. All those in favor? Sue? Are you?
I approve. Sorry,
Thank you.
I'm in favor.
And do we have anybody else on Zoom? No. Okay, anybody opposed? So carries. Congratulations, and let us know how we can help, and this is a phenomenal project, and I look forward to seeing it come to fruition.
Thank you.
I think you have a birthday dinner tonight?
We do. We already had dinner, but birthday bedtime. My son's turning 6 today, so we,
Oh, that's it.
yeah, not for me.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you want to go, I totally understand.
Head out. Yeah, but if anything comes up, feel free to reach out, and thank you very much. We appreciate it and look forward to having you at our kickoff party when it happens.
Absolutely. Let us know, seriously.
I will,
Yeah.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you very much. So, the, John,
Okay,
you're on the floor.
okay, so if you came back before the fog hit and everything, David, you might have seen that a lot of landscaping's been planted around the new fitness area out there.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's going in, so that's still moving forward. We're in the fundraising phase for the new playground, so
Right.
hopefully that's gonna go well. We're involved in the budget process, and just as a heads up, the three main meetings we have with the Board of Selectmen, that's January 7th, 9:30 in the morning. February 13th and March 13th, both at 7 PM, are the Board of Finance and the Town Council to go through the budget process. As far as programs and stuff, we just finished the parent-teacher conferences at the schools, and everything, most everything went well. There's always little hiccups, but nothing that's earth-shattering. And this weekend's breakfast with Santa, we've added a fourth seating, so basically another 120 people.
Wow.
And it's sold out and there's still a waiting list, and Ryan's tractor's gonna be there, even though he's not gonna be running it this year. So, and then the only last thing, very briefly, and we can send it out and maybe make approval next month, would be meeting dates. Looking at the calendar and school vacations and everything, the second Wednesday of each month, except for August, where of course we skip a meeting, works perfect as far as holidays, that type of stuff, so,
Terrific.
you know, but we can send that out and maybe you can.
That would be great. We can put that together, because I know we should do it in writing form.
Yes,
For the end. So our next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, January 8th. Okay, just for your notes. Okay, but at that meeting, we'll put together, in addition to the meeting dates, but also the subcommittee list in terms of parks and stuff. So if you guys have any particular interest in any areas, let me know. Otherwise, I'll happily assign you. So, you know, on that front. Okay. Any questions for John? Okay.
I guess I did. I noticed there were some people playing pickle the other day. And how long does pickle just go on forever and, you know?
the one thing we do is if we get snow, we actually lock the courts down, because we don't want anybody overzealous going out there and shoveling, because they'll damage the surface.
Okay.
So
But apart from that, just.
so apart from that, what we've changed, instead of having an attendant there, the courts are unlocked.
Yeah.
So we'll just lock them if we have snow.
Okay.
Yeah. And people are still playing.
Yeah, now they're playing a lot of paddle now.
Yeah.
Any other questions for John? And then we'll move on to my report, and I actually have a few things to go over with you. The first one is, some of you may or may not be aware, but the Board of Selectmen at their last meeting has dissolved the Family Fourth Committee. And it will now be under a subcommittee of the Parks and Recs group. The reason behind this is, there's multiple reasons. When this event started 42 some odd years ago, okay, it was set up as a standalone committee to basically do the fundraising for it, okay, since the town didn't necessarily want to pay for it. Now, over time, it has shifted into more of a town event that you know, John oversees. The second reason, Tom Stadler, who has done an outstanding job of being the chair of this group for the last 14 years, needs to step aside, okay? And so what we're gonna do is, we're gonna form a subcommittee, and it will be on this master list at the January 8th meeting. David Shea should be appointed at the next Board of Select meeting on December 17th. As the new member of our commission, and he has nicely volunteered to head up this subcommittee. David has a wealth of experience. He ran the St. Mark's Fair for a couple of years. He's been heavily involved with some initiatives with the Exchange Club as we've revamped some of our policies. And John has met with him a few times, as has Deanna. And so we're thrilled to welcome him on board, and it would be a strong contributing factor. I think you all will like working with him a great deal. So, the second thing I'd like to mention is that we have two great folks that are hopping off the Parks and Recs Commission, and I've got a little something for each of you. And really want to first, I'll go right to left. Jake, thank you very much for all of your great efforts, particularly with the ice rink, for what you've done for us there and getting that started, and all the different athletic programs that you're involved in. We appreciate that. And Francesca, 12 years. That's a long time. And really can't thank you enough for all you've done, particularly for the paddle and the pickle and all the different courts that we're gonna be doing there. We appreciate both of your tremendous work that you've done. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, and hope that we see a lot more of it too, so. And that is it for me. And again, we have public comments, but want to wish you all a great holiday season, and thank you for your tremendous work and for what everybody has been doing. It's been a great year, so.
I just thank Jake and Jessica both. And
Yes.
Jessica, also, you were a mentor for me, when I first started on, so thank you for all your years on the commission, and I'll miss you, sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, so terrific. And so in any case, we have that. That's it. Any questions for me? Okay. All right, and now we will close the formal part and then open up to public comments. Welcome. You can just introduce yourself, and that would be great.
My name is Julia Mitchell. I'm one of the paddle captains for the Travel League. So we play inter-club against the other clubs in the area, be it town, at Reed Beach or Longshore, or any of the private as well. So I'm very familiar with other facilities and play with a lot of players from other clubs as well. And Mike.
My name is Mike Tomsky. I'm one of the travel heads for the men's side, and also Hank's son. So full disclosure there.
That's your, oh, this your son?
Son-in-law.
No, son-in-law.
Son-in-law, okay. Oh, no, Gotcha.
Okay. So there's a couple of things, or a few things that we wanted to raise. The most important one, actually, I think to both of us, because it's a safety issue, is the fact that the heaters aren't turned on at Waveney, the paddle courts, when the courts are wet. They are turned on when there's been snow. I think the policy may be freezing and below, but effectively the situation is, if the courts are wet, you either play and risk falling over, like slipping and falling over because it is dangerous, or we cancel. If that was typical for other clubs, and I don't mean the private ones, I mean the public ones, then I wouldn't be here. We are the only location that, in fact, that's the case in the surrounding area. So that includes Weed Beach and Darien, where the hut monitor makes a decision, and if the players feel it's unsafe, then they will, if it's been raining, not during active rain or active snow, but once the rain has stopped or the snow has stopped, then the heaters will go on. It's a safety issue. That's the situation in Darien. In Longshore and in Rowayton, the players actually have access to turning the heaters on and off themselves. And they're all town facilities. We are the only location, in terms of our similar towns, where we don't have access to that. And outside of the risk that presents to our players and just a lot of our town, and I don't know if any of you guys are in a position where you use these courts. You probably know people that have slipped and fallen over. We probably all have. Mostly we choose not to play when it's raining. Most people will cancel in advance, but sometimes the situation is very difficult. League matches are being played. We have guests from other towns. We then have to make a decision. If it's rain, it's not expected. Do we ask them to play at risk, which we're used to, they're not, or do we cancel mid-match? And then we're the only town asking people to do that. There is nowhere else that this is happening. So it makes us look not great, to be honest. I think it's just to me is kind of a no-brainer. And then I started looking at, how much money does the paddle division, make, revenues versus expenditure, and we're definitely not pulling our weight. I think that you can see that, I've kind of got the numbers here and I can leave them out, but I think you probably all know that. And it doesn't seem to me that we should be putting players at risk as far as safety goes for this, in this situation. And I kind of see a heads nodding. I hope that people do understand where we're coming from. I certainly know Mike agrees.
So to add to Julia, for those who don't play paddle, if it's bad rain like tonight, nobody's gonna play, and that's not what we're talking about. This is the day that we cancel all over. The biggest issue sometimes is when it's wet overnight, and now it's not raining anymore, and especially a Saturday or Sunday match where we host on Saturdays and Sunday mornings, on the
Thursdays and
clubs.
Fridays.
Thursday and Fridays for the ladies. Oftentimes, the wetness could be dissolved, so to speak, in 20 to 25 minutes, if it's no longer raining. But often the person attending the hut does not have their own authority to do it. I know I've been there, they've called John, and John will authorize it at certain times. Where
We
Steve,
don't usually get that, honestly.
but the biggest issue is, even if we didn't want to necessarily give it to individual players, if the attendant had it, if the attendant was there, and we're just able to do it, the situation can be rectified in 20 minutes, especially if it stopped raining. Same with snow, if there's a small amount of snow on the court, within 20 minutes of the heaters, the snow is gone, and then everyone can play with no issues.
And that's for the rest of the day. As it is, the courts
Yeah.
can be out a whole day.
Right.
And nobody playing. And we have these amazing facilities where we're all calling each other, are you willing to play? Are you willing to play? One person's not willing to play. More than one person. Certain people will never play if it's wet. Some people are like, oh, my shoes have got no grip right now. I'm not willing to play. It's like the amount of wasted time, wasted court time. And it's just, we're the only location that are doing this.
Not to cut you off, but I think we can easily just change our policy.
Okay.
You know, especially for a safety thing.
Yeah.
Of course, like you said, a day like today.
Yeah.
Heaters can run all day and they're not gonna help anything, but when the rain's stopped,
Right,
yeah,
yeah,
they're
exactly.
missed off.
John, was that kind of a Steve Benko legacy sort of
Yes.
thing?
And
I
yeah,
mean, I love Steve.
He never liked to turn those heaters.
Steve was kind of a cheapskate, let's be honest, and it was, deserved a lot of town resources, I suppose. But I am a paddle player, and it's always been kind of an expression, why don't we just, it's wet.
Yeah,
Just
I've talked
turn
about
on,
it many
you know?
times here.
You know?
Yeah.
It can't cost
A
that
lot of
much
people
money.
bother
to run
by it. I
those.
would say the whole paddle community in Waverley.
right.
But, and if it does, I mean, I wanted to ask you about, you said not pulling our weight in terms of the financial.
Well, I
What
guess
does that
like,
mean?
I mean, what I was trying to understand is, is like paddle overall costing, or are we bringing in enough money to cover what looks
Yeah,
like?
what-
We need to,
I believe-
Let's just pull them off the budget.
I believe what she was saying was, the town, and this is what the
Yeah.
records are, so the town brings in more money from paddle than it expenses out.
Okay,
So the
so it
ability
is
to,
curious, what,
yes,
Yes, exactly.
so the ability to use the heaters on a selective basis is not gonna cost the town money it does not have. They're pulling a profit.
No,
from it.
actually-
with that said,
Numbers
the
here.
paddle tennis is one of the mini programs that has gone into the self-sustaining fund. And they're correct
We
when
should be
they,
up 20 grand next year based on what's currently in plan. I mean, I can give you a.
Right,
little-
let John finish.
Sorry.
Yeah.
it is part of the self-sustaining fund
Mhm.
and it is self-supporting, we
Right.
have, for our budget for next year, we're planning on all of our self-sustaining programs to make money.
Okay, great.
The
Well,
second page, I put the budget stuff in. Sorry, and the stuff I've already talked about on the first page.
Well, I certainly can empathize because I played an interclub match, as does Doug, and when you're trying to reschedule 16 people, it is a royal pain in the neck. So, the word is try to have the match if at all possible, and when the blowers work,
But it's also embarrassing when we're the only location that is having to reschedule, because the other locations will put heaters on. So then it's Waverley saying, we can't host you because our courts will be wet. So this location, the only one that will have to cancel, or you'll have to play on our courts wet, which some other people from other clubs really don't want to do.
It seems like you
You're
guys
right.
are understanding the issue and there's support behind some more self-sufficiency, either the HUD attendant, or if the HUD attendant's not there, the ability for an individual player to have access for them and.
Right, I'd like to do it through the HUD attendant, just
Through the
so
HUD,
to
yeah.
have some control of it, but that's an easy policy to change.
But also, we shouldn't just be looking at just matches. I mean, it should be.
No, we should do it. for
Right,
whenever-
yeah.
No, using the match as an example of. Now.
No, I get that, but I mean, you know, last thing we want is somebody get hurt.
Yeah. it's-
They, you didn't turn it on for us, but you turned it on for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that happened to us once.
Yep.
Yep, so as long as it's, you know. over the-
Yeah.
We would really appreciate that. That's gonna make a lot of people happy,
Okay.
isn't it? The next thing I just wanted to raise, this is just flagging it up, because I know you've had in I think it's in the adopted budget for next year, there's a note in there about building a courtyard, Steve Benko picnic area.
Yes, that presently is in our proposed budget to go forward, but of course it has to go through the three town bodies. So the first is the Board of Selectmen on January 7th, 9:30 in the morning.
So it might,
But it probably won't happen that day, because quite often capital is on a different day. So, but that would be when it would be discussed. When you said
Is there
approve,
anything we can do to help with that, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Politically,
do what?
you know, talk to people, you know, people in the Board of Selectmen, write them emails, town
Send 'em an
council,
email,
Board of
yeah.
Finance.
Yeah.
Um,
You know,
Okay. We can do that.
we're estimating the cost for the picnic area at $290,000. It's a
Wow.
lot of money.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yes,
But yeah, the approval process is Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Town Council.
So that's like 4 times the annual budget at least?
And so that's, and
Say that again, sorry. what was
operating
that?
budget, and then there's capital. This
What
is
is-
capital.
Board of
Yeah.
the order is the Board of Selectmen's first,
Mhm.
then it's the Board of Finance,
Mhm.
and then the Town Council.
And they're the people that we should be
Yeah.
showing our support to.
Now, capital is a little bit different, Keith, than the operating budget. They're completely separate.
I get it, but still, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Can I add one thing to that? There's also discussion of moving the pickleball courts
Not
No,
they're
not moving them,
Not
installing
moving.
new ones.
or new ones.
adding more.
Then, well, that's why I thought that would make more sense, because everybody's hearing things, but we haven't got any, like, we weren't sure where. But that would mean that then those facilities, which would be the paddle hut or the hut, and the outside facility would then be of benefit to both communities,
Yeah.
which
We
starts
think
to
it-
make more sense.
We think it would, we think it would be a benefit to the whole park.
Okay.
You know, a picnic area, we don't have one.
Right.
One thing,
Right.
you know, improving that area, the draft plans are, they're really draft, but I think it would be very nice.
Mhm.
Using the building all year round with pickle there, having the ability to have pickleball courts that are lit. Would also be a benefit, so there's a lot of positives about the area.
I
And
did
the
see-
290, that wasn't for the pickle courts,
That
that
was
was for.
not for the pickleball, and I'm trying. I think we were estimating them at 140, I don't have the numbers with me,
Wow,
for
so,
the, for 4
so the
pickleball
picnic
courts,
area is twice as much as the pickle courts.
yes.
I know that the pickleball, I've spoken to two ladies who run the Flex League, which is the pickleball league. That's for Fairfield and Westchester area, and they're run out of New Canaan, these ladies. And they definitely do really support the courts being built up there, and they're happy to come to the next meeting and talk to you and say that there's a lot of that community behind it. They benefit from being able to play before 8 in the morning, in the evenings with lights, like there's a lot of benefits to them as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're definitely behind us, and I did contact them before I came.
Any other comments?
Not really, there's a few things I kind of bulleted at the end that other people asked me to raise. That are kind of small, like just noted as 6th court, but I do realise there's a lot of other things. In the pipeline, you know, I know that that's been talked about. Things like the hard plastic passes that we used to have.
We're working on that,
I'm sure.
definitely,
I think it's
Yeah,
better for you guys even than
we
us.
think it's definitely needed,
Needs to come back.
yeah.
And then just court repairs, if they could be done during the summer, because
often they're in September and it's just when all the boot camps are happening. That's it.
It unfortunately this year especially, they weren't able to get here in
That's okay.
August when we wanted them to do it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question, actually. Are we, merged with Court Reserve yet? The reservation system, because the way it was working last I played, you'd go into Court Reserve, but, they didn't read Waveney Park as a place. So if you belonged to an area club, you were immediately put over there and you couldn't get your reservation in without talking to you guys.
Yeah, I believe you had to change your club. Like if you were a member of the
No.
racket club, because they use the same thing.
No, the thing is, John, it didn't register Waveney. Waveney wasn't even listed as a possibility. So that you had to actually get them to send you the link via email and start all over that way. And the next time you make a reservation for the Lake Club or the Fields Club, it's blown it all out again.
I have
That's
no,
how
I
it
have
works.
no idea. I'm sorry. I think this is.
It would be great if
First
that
time.
would be written down to be something addressed.
Okay.
Thanks.
I don't know if that's the case.
Do you guys know if that's the case?
I mean, I personally, I don't belong to a club. I go on to Court Reserve all the time and I
And it's
No,
always Waveney.
always waving it. I'm always
Okay.
locking in immediately.
Yeah, no. it's-
So you not have no issues or?
I've had no issues and my friends and I, we play all the time and I've never heard anybody have an issue with it. But these are also all people who don't belong to clubs, so maybe their
Right.
login is linked to something else and they have to change it, whereas mine is not, but I haven't had any issues. And my friends have not either.
It happens with pickleball too, so you know. when
What would
that's
happen with any of
happening,
them, because we use Sport Reserve for all
Okay,
our racket sports.
so then it is still happening because. I
No,
know
I'm not
people
sure,
have
I'm
been-
not saying that it's happening. I haven't heard about it happening,
I
that's all.
understand.
Yeah, I'll have to check. Steve takes care of it, Steve Date. So I'll have to check with him to make sure.
All right, if you want
I had
specifics, I'm available.
I didn't have trouble at the start of the season, but I rang Steve and he sorted my problem.
Okay.
It didn't work for me.
No,
thanks.
appreciate the feedback. Yeah.
Yeah,
Any other
good job
comments?
Bringing those points up, I appreciate
Yeah.
it. We needed to hear it from you guys.
No. It's good constructive select suggestions and they're solution oriented. So we appreciate that. Are there any other questions or comments? Under public comments, is there anybody else on Zoom who would like to make a comment?
Betty.
Betty?
Wants to.
Okay.
You have to unmute Betty. Okay.
Am I
Hello,
on?
Betty. Yes.
Okay, I first want to say thank you so much to Francesca and Jake. I go back to 1999 attending Park and Rec meetings, and you two guys did such a wonderful, wonderful job. And to everybody here on the commission, I know we don't convene again until next month, so have a wonderful holiday, relax, and a wonderful new year.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you, Betty.
You
You're
too.
welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? Hank, thank you. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carry. Sue?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, all.